false flag. But you know what? There are a lot of animals out there that are dying because we're taking away their land, their water, and their freedom. And they're being transplanted someplace else. It isn't right. And our drinking water, no, it's so precious. We destroy it and we waste water because you know California's in a drought. We just had fires in Miami and in the Everglades. This is not good. So listen, though, we've got to take action, and we've got to do it now. But Miami is in serious jeopardy of being wiped away by water on my right feet. Let me introduce my guest today. Somebody cares about the environment also, and somebody cares about the party. And he's a very young, active Democrat who is very much out there. Let me introduce you to Darr, who has been a public speaker. He has worked for the Democratic Women's Club of Florida as their public speaker, and he has been very involved in Ready for Hillary. He's been going around the country speaking for Hillary and has been a big supporter and still a big supporter of Hillary. Let me introduce him and welcome to our show. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Harriet. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you and everything that you people are doing. And the reason I want you on the show today, and the reason I asked you to be on the show, because you're a young Democrat. And the Democrats need more young people. And I want to ask you, what are your plans to get the people who are young, to get them out there to participate, to run, to help them, to get them to vote, and to sign them up for the first time to get them to vote? Do you have any idea how we can do that to be successful this year?
Well, that's a very interesting question. That always seems to be the biggest problem that we suffer from here in the electorate in general, especially in the Democratic Party and especially in the state of Florida. You know, I was just having this conversation when I was in Tallahassee where I had met with you and I was speaking to various attendants of tally days for the Democratic Women's Club of Florida. And one of the questions that was posed to me was by a young DEC chair from Wakulla County, Nikki Barnes. And she and I were talking, and I get this question a lot. How are we going to get millennials and young people under the age of 30 and 40 years old out to vote? You know, we didn't have as much of a problem getting young people out to vote in 2008, as people like to remind me. Of course, we had such an exciting candidate at the top of the ticket in 2008, and that was, of course, then Senator Barack Obama. And then we go on to the presidential election cycle of 2012, where, of course, we still have President Obama. So now, one of the questions that people pose to me often is, we do not have President Obama. How are we going to get over that bound and over that hurdle? Well, 2016 obviously is steadily approaching, and we need to put up as many good candidates as we can for both partisan and nonpartisan races, especially the partisan races where we can run really good, viable candidates through the Democratic ticket. And that starts all the way at the top of the ticket to all the way down. And I'm very excited. You know, as you were saying, I've worked with Ready for Hillary for about 2 years now, and I've traveled all over the country, been to Iowa, and I've traveled all over the state of Florida. There's one thing that's become very clear, that there is a need for Hillary Clinton to run for president, and there is a need for millennials to turn out and make sure that they vote for her in the way that they voted for Barack Obama. Now, one of the problems that I see, that I think that every major political party is doing right now, is that when we go and we register voters, think about when you register voters or you're doing any kind of GOTV, which is get out the vote, or canvassing efforts on behalf of a candidate or an organization or party that you're volunteering or working for. Think about it. When you're out there and you're canvassing those individuals, what are you saying? For example, 2012, I know because I remember doing it myself, going to Pennsylvania every other weekend and saying, you know, this candidate, Mitt Romney, he has time and time again outsourced American jobs, sent them overseas. We cannot have that kind of president. Would you like to sign up and volunteer and support Barack Obama for his re-election campaign this year? Now, the problem with doing that is we're no better than the Republicans when we do that. We're playing up on fear. We're not selling young people in particular to expect them to be able to come out and whether it be presidential and midterm election years we're not selling them the Democratic brand. We're not selling them what we stand for as Democrats. So I hope that when we go out, especially on behalf of Hillary for America, this year and next year, when we contact young people, and I know as I will be doing, I'll be going to a lot of the college campuses, targeting these young millennials all across the state of Florida and speaking to them why it's important to stay engaged, involved, and aware, and government and getting involved within their communities to step up and really build some of future's next leaders while making sure that they turn out and they vote about issues that are going to be passionate about them and candidates that are going to champion those issues. And for me, and I think for many millennials, we see Hillary Clinton being that candidate for president. So I think what we need to do is we need to sell them the Democratic brand, what we stand for as Democrats, our platform as the Democratic Party, and the best person to put forth that that platform is going to be Secretary Clinton. So I expect it is going to be definitely some hurdles to get through to get young people to turn out and vote, but I think that's the biggest disconnect. It's very simple on both sides, whether it be Republican or Democrat. It's just miscommunication. We need to solidify our message. We did not have one last year, but going into 2016, I think that we will definitely have one, especially with Hillary Clinton as the Democratic nominee, if she is the Democratic nominee for president.
Okay, Aaron, and that's a nice long answer, and I really appreciate that, but we really have got much more to do than that.
Okay.
Hillary is going to have many possible primaries. You know and I know there's a lot of people out there who are bashing the hell out of her. And there's this guy who's written a book. We'll get into that in a few minutes, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But you think that she is going to have primary efforts? Martin O'Malley may run. I've heard others may run. Are they totally looking for someone to run against her?
Well, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz from right around in your area, she's the DNC chair. She had just stated that we are going to have debates and we are going to have a primary, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been a long supporter of Hillary Clinton, and we are going to have other Democrats that are going to run against Hillary. I think if you asked Hillary Clinton yourself, Hillary Clinton wants to have a primary challenger. It energizes the base. Look at what it did in 2008. I would hate for Hillary Clinton not to have a primary challenger.
Well, I think she will. And I'm going to ask you this. Now, you've been involved around the leaders of the state of Florida, and you know the leaders of the state of Florida and the Democratic Party. But why are they not doing more for new candidates that are running? They seem to, if you ask them for anything, they say, no, you can't have that. No, we can't help you. No, you can't do this. If you don't have money, if you don't have money, they won't even talk to you. We need campaign finance reform. We need a strategizing. We need a new platform for this party, because I am sick and tired of getting people to run and then they turn their backs on them. That is wrong. A lot of Democrats are saying, maybe we should join the Republican Party. They don't do that. Maybe that's what we need to do.
Well, I obviously don't think that Democrats need to join the Republican Party.
Democratic Party have a future.
Well, that's saying that they have a future if they, consider themselves to be viable candidates. I think you answered your own question. It's money. We have too much money in politics, and we do need some kind of campaign finance reform, but it needs to be pragmatic, realistic campaign finance reform. So it's getting viable candidates to step up that are well-spoken, that have a good platform and experience as community leaders within their own districts to be able to run upon. And part of that is being able to raise funds. Is that fair? No. But both the Republican and the Democratic Party, that is a very important key part of being able to be a viable candidate. I will point out a difference clearly, and I will say this being a big supporter of former Florida State Senator Nan Rich. I voted for Nan Rich in that primary. I did a lot of things for Nan Rich in the Democratic primary here in Pinellas County, which is where Charlie Crist lives. Is it fair? No. But is it the reality of the situation in which we live? Yes. And I think that, we need to get better about putting up candidates that have that experience, that are inspiring, that are going to be able to connect with people, to be able to raise funds, to be able to put forth a challenging campaign for the Republicans.
Well, not everybody feels that way, I'm sorry to say, because there are a lot of young people out there, a lot of people who are running who have wage raise. People can't live on $7. How are they going to live on $8? These people are demanding $15 wages. And yes, the unions have lost power. They used to have a great deal of power. They've gone down by 11.6%. And they used to be for the working people. And they fought for the working people. But now they've become highfalutin, where they want you to have X amount of dollars to be able to sit here and talk to you, to even support you in a campaign. This has all gone wacky. It's gone wacky in the world, and we've sent our jobs overseas. And so the Democrats were always for the working people, and so were the unions. And this right to work state is killing us. It's killing our economy. It's killing the families. It's killing people's homes and losing them. We are Democrats, and it's Democrats and progressives. We are fighting in a very difficult battle against a very tough regime, and I cannot understand why Republicans support these characters who are doing it to them. It's not just Democrats that are suffering. We know that there are many Republicans that are out there suffering financially and need better pay. And I don't understand why they're Republicans, but they are. And they have good reasons why they're Republicans. Now you, I'm sure, have traveled all over the state, and you're working with Hillary, because Hillary's for campaign finance reform. Hillary's for a minimum wage increase. You know that, right?
Yes, I know that. And Hillary also just came out last week and said that she would like to get rid of Citizens United.
Yes, exactly. And so does Bernie. And Bernie's out there. Bernie Sanders says, and he's out there protesting. Now, I don't know how you feel about the trade agreement, about the trade deal that was thrown at the Americans out of work. And there's been a march on this. This is very serious, folks. I'm really against it. I was coming from NAFTA, or CAFTA, and certainly not for the transatlantic. I really believe that this is going to hurt. One of the key reasons why the middle class in America continues to decline between the very rich and everyone else is growing wider is because of disastrous trade agreements, which have sent millions of decent paying jobs to China and other low-wage countries. And that's really serious. So you understand what I'm saying? We can have to kill the Trade-Pacific Partnership trade deal. And I'm concerned about that. And Bill Clinton was the one that put in NAFTA. And I was never very happy about that. How do you feel?
Well, I'd like to cover the two things that you had just said. Obviously, that trade agreement, as well as NAFTA over time, is going to affect everything in terms of the human reality that is income inequality in this country. Those are very populist ideas. I see Hillary Clinton embracing many of them. You mentioned Bernie Sanders. I see both he and wonderful public servants like Elizabeth Warren also embracing many of these ideas while talking about raising the minimum wage, because yes, I do agree with you, as the cost of living goes up, so should one's wage, so you're not continuously falling behind. With the student loans that you're talking about, I also agree with that, as does Secretary Clinton, that, if banks can borrow money at a 0.75% interest rate, so should students. And Hillary Clinton believes that, as does Bernie Sanders, and as does Elizabeth Warren. These are progressive ideas, but they are basically matters of common sense to most middle-class Americans. When you see young people, I know from my own experience, being $90,000 in student loan debt myself, that I've had to borrow student loan rates at 6.8%. Now, it doesn't seem fair when you see that the deck seems to be stacked in favor for all of those at the top, but forgets all of those at the bottom, and many middle-class Americans all throughout our country, and in particular those in the state of Florida. So I do think that we definitely need to tackle the human reality that is income inequality while raising the minimum wage realistically, so it is something that will benefit employees while being a pragmatic situation for small business owners. In regards to the trade deal that you're talking about, I personally, you know how busy my schedule is, I haven't paid too much attention to that particular trade deal. I don't have much of an opinion on it. I have been starting to look at it recently. I know that Secretary Clinton has also come out and talked about it recently and saying that she's forming her opinion on it as more and more information comes out. So that's something that I think that I will agree with her. I'm just waiting to see where I'm going to stand on that situation as well. But NAFTA, going back to NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, yes, is it flawed? Did it work? Do some good? Yes, it did do some good, but did it do some bad? Yes. It's like every other piece of legislation. I know that you know this, being a former public servant yourself and an elected official, that with every piece of legislation comes good and comes bad. Nothing is perfect, but I will remind you, with NAFTA, even under the Clinton administration, we have the best, we had the only national surplus that we've ever had, and we've had the creation of 22 million jobs under President Clinton. So I see the need for that, while embracing many of these populist and ideas in terms of income inequality and raising the minimum wage pragmatically. And Hillary Clinton will do that as president.
And let me just tell you this, though. I can't agree with you on NAFTA. That's why we're having a real problem with the economy, and people can't find decent jobs and decent wages. Until we bring back those companies that are over there because they get cheap labor, 56 cents an hour they pay them in China, that is where they want to go. But we have got to find ways to take care of the people in the United States of America. They need good paying jobs because the cost of living here is so outrageous.
I agree.
Why is it escalating? Why is the cartel raising the price of gasoline? Oh, don't get me into refineries and all that good stuff or whatever. Those excuses are crazy. BP is, claiming, they have cleaned up the entire Gulf. Oh, this is a bunch of we do. I am from the kind of person you got to show me. And so far, I have not seen it show me yet that has been absolutely great. People are struggling. The real people are struggling. No, the rich are getting richer because they get the tax books and they get these wonderful tax breaks on sale, and they keep getting more and more money.
Well, I will remind you, with those tax breaks, one of the, and I love President Obama. I voted for him, of course I did. But one of the disappointments that I have in President Obama, as I think a lot of Democrats did, was that he renewed the Bush tax cuts. Which, exactly, and I don't think that that was something that was smart to do, because I think that it has only made our nation's economy that much more stagnant and stuck, and it does put those in favor, puts everything in favor for those at the top, while it's hurting middle-class Americans. What we need to do is we need to raise the taxes on the wealthiest of the 1% and those that have the funds to be able to do it, to be fair and pragmatic, while giving tax relief to middle-class Americans all across our country, just like President Clinton did.